We're back in New York, and Preston and his wife are here, and they are where you live now?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. But you were born here in New York.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the Bronx.
And you said that this is the story I just told, and I agree with you, is not New York. That's not the way New Yorkers are. They're not. And these people, these were the young, arrogant cultural elites. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They actually, somebody came up and tried to get me to sign a deal in this time in our country's history, they actually were passing around a form signing to ask the city or demand that the city actually spend more money on arts in the city. And I really wanted to stand up and say, who's a taxpayer here? Who's a taxpayer here? Who's a taxpayer? Needless to say, I didn't sign that. David, you're from San Francisco.
Yes, sir.
And you have got to have been in these situations before.
Yes, physically I've been roughed up during the anti-war protests. I was trying to present a humane case for getting Saddam Hussein to surrender quickly, and people in San Francisco didn't like that. And
how do you mean you were roughed up?
I was handing out a little flyer that I wrote saying, well, now that the war has started, we can't stop that, but let's try and get Saddam Hussein to surrender quickly. So you on the left who don't like needless bloodshed, let's write letters to Saddam Hussein and get the media and press to get him to surrender quickly so the bloodshed will be over quickly and the people of Iraq can be liberated quickly.
What happened?
They told me that I was evil and wrong and started yelling at me and then started to jump me and pull all the papers out of my hands. The police came and protected me, which was great. Thank you, San Francisco police. It's very typical. And I'm sorry to say, in our lovely city of San Francisco, there is such intolerance for diversity of opinion that unless you march to the left, they don't let you march.
It's really amazing how we are in a culture where people are saying celebrate diversity, and yet they don't notice that unless you are this particular color of the rainbow, you can't be in. I'm sorry, you are not in it. You have to be silenced. You said now the exact opposite is Texas.
Yes, I was just with some Texas folks over the weekend, and they told me an amazing story, and that was when the San Francisco Giants played in Dallas, and we won the series. All the people in Texas in that stadium, or at least a great majority of them, stood up and applauded, as proper sports people would. They're good losers.
You've never been to,
and they're good winners.
He's never been to Philly, has he? No. We were, when I was at the Yankees game, I was talking to my wife, and we were talking about Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, because the Colorado Rockies were playing. And I happened to have one of the guys from the Colorado Rockies stop by the radio show, and he was in our green room, and he said, I just want to say hi and blah, blah, blah. And so we were talking for a while, and I said, excited about the Yankees? I said, that's got to be a good feeling, huh? He said, anything is a good feeling other than Philadelphia. He said, that is one, I believe he used passionate town. That wasn't exactly the word that I would have used when it comes to some of the fans there. Is there, how do you correct this? You're in Philadelphia, and the fans are brutal. What do you do? As a citizen, what do you do? Anybody?
Stay silent.
What's that?
Stay silent. They booed Santa Claus.
Okay, Philadelphia may not be a good example. We had this debate in our meeting this morning when I came in, and I told the producers, I said, I don't understand it. I said, if I would have been in the exact opposite situation, I would have so clearly said, knock it off, you losers. If I were in Texas, in the exact opposite, and Van Jones was on a blanket with his family, and people started treating him like that, I would have said, knock it off, because it's the bully mentality. But everybody stood silently. Now the debate we had was, well, if you say something, then does it turn into a melee? So, what do you do? Yes, Ann.
What I was going to say was
the thing that came to mind when you were speaking was actions speak louder than words sometimes. And what I was hoping you were going to say when you ended your story was that there weren't many that were able to say much, but they may have surrounded your family just by their presence to let you know that they were there. And sometimes there are no words to explain bad behavior.
No, you don't need to explain. You don't need to explain. And that's why I wouldn't get up last night and leave, because my actions would have spoken louder than words. As grueling as it may have been, I'm sorry, I'm not going to reward terrorists. And that's really what happened on a very small, minute scale. That's what that was. That's what these mob scenes are. That's what are the people in Greece? They're terrorists. They're tearing things apart, and they want you to be afraid.
What would Gandhi would have done? I mean, he probably would have.
Gandhi wouldn't have been on the blanket watching a Hitchcock movie. He would have said, "We don't have any salsa." What do you mean we don't have salsa? Yes.
In those formats, though, you did the right thing. I mean, when a mob breaks out, you can't necessarily reason with a mob, especially a mob that's drunk on liquid courage. I mean, that's a different type of courage. People are very brave, you know, when they feel surrounded by a mob or when, you know, they're intoxicated. Look at sporting events. Same thing there. People aren't reasonable.
Yes.
But I think the thing that's really sad about it is that no one stood up for you.
Yeah, but I'm not convinced that everybody even knew. You know, it was.
Well, they may not know what was going on, and they may not have realized it. But the truth of the matter is that you go back in any type of history, and you allow that simple minority that then pursues violence to start attacking an individual or a family.
I will tell you that the most somber moment, and most likely just for me, was when a Orthodox Jewish man was trying to make his way through the crowd, and he stepped on the blankets, and then he looked like there's no place for me to go. And I reached over and I grabbed the blanket and I pulled it back and I said, "Go ahead this way." And that moment, and he didn't even mean it this way, it was just that image of him looking like I don't know where to go. And that, I think, is what you're talking about in a grander scheme of that when silence is deafening.
If you stood there and in a way you made your position by saying nothing, by remaining there, by defending your right to be there. But if somebody, just one other person around you, would have stood up and said, "You know what, as you said earlier, just leave him alone. He has every right to be here as much as we have the right to be here. Just knock it off." But we've gotten so politically correct, we're afraid to do that.
That's right. Yeah.
We're afraid to have that.
And nobody really likes conflict.
Right.
Nobody likes
conflict.
I don't think you could have said something because it was directed at you, and the person to defend you could only say knock it off, because if they started having an argument, it would have started into everyone would have been shouting, yelling, throwing stuff. They can only say knock it off. We're watching a movie here.
I did see something at 8:28. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of this. It's remarkable video. It's some people that dressed up as conservatives, but you knew they weren't conservatives because it was like a cartoon conservative. You know, it's like, what do conservatives wear? and they came out and they were being the most obnoxious, most blatantly racist people I have ever seen. And it was so transparent. And it was one of the things I worried about when we were planning 828 last year in the mall, because I knew that there were people that wanted that strikeout. And I was so proud of the people that were there. They surrounded these people and just said, "That's not what we believe, and that's not what you believe. We'll pray for you. We'll pray for you. Would you like to pray with us now?" I mean, they had no place to go except, "Oh, crap." And they walked away. Jeffrey.
A Mark Twain quote: "To be good is noble. To show someone to be good is nobler." I think you did that.
No. No. I just went and I watched a I watched the movie
but you did the
last night.
right thing. You did the right thing,
Yeah.
and let them.
Yeah, they do what they want. Back in just a second.